A new breed of Karen was spotted in the wild, painting over a Black Lives Matter road painting. Let's take a look. The question I have for Karen here is, I mean, what is she doing? Like, what are you doing? Oh no, baby, what is you doing? It's not enough paint. Also, why are you... You're just basically painting Black Lives Matter in black. You're just turning the Black Lives Matter that was in yellow into Black Lives Matter in black. Just giving it a fresh coat of paint, I guess.
He's a shit in New York. This is not happening in my town.
But then again, if she had the capability of thinking, she probably would have decided that this is a dumb thing to do regardless. Not in my town. What's also pathetic about this, obviously, because she's literally painting over it, as you can see. Like, she's just painting over it. Doesn't have enough paint. She was wasting her own money painting over it in black. So it's just gonna say Black Lives Matter, but in black painting, which is so weird. Trump had some things to say about Black Lives Matter on Fifth Avenue. De Blasio delayed the Black Lives Matter mural in front of Trump Tower because Trump tweeted out that the painting of Black Lives Matter on the street would be a symbol of hate. Donald Trump literally said that you would ruin the beautiful Fifth Avenue by painting Black Lives Matter on it. On Sunday, Vice President Mike Pence defended his refusal to say Black Lives Matter amid the surge of momentum for police reforms. Blasio said to Mr. Trump, when he hears Black Lives Matter, he presents a horrible negative reality of something that doesn't exist. God, de Blasio is such a cuck. President Trump slammed New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio for his plans to paint Black Lives Matter on Fifth Avenue, referring to the planned painting a symbol of hate. He literally said it's a symbol of hate. So, you know, that's why his hog-like supporters are doing stuff like this.
Why don't you guys learn about history? The Emancipation Proclamation Act.
So my take on this is this. On the liberal and even on the leftist side, I personally think, and you might call this my own bias because it's my side technically or something, but on the liberal and leftist side, do I think that people sometimes go too far, like wanting to cancel Frederick Douglass? Yes. But the overwhelming majority of people, or the overwhelming majority of activists, are simply just trying to take down Confederate monuments, which is totally reasonable, totally understandable. They're massive L's, okay? They're white supremacist terrorists who are trying to cope with the reality that they took devastating L's and got their shit pushed in. They're fucking losers. Just remind them of how big of a fucking loser they are and take down the dumbass Confederate monuments. No one is going to forget how much of a fucking loser the Confederates were because we took down the monuments. Don't worry. Hold this fucking L. Stop trying to get a participation trophy put up, you big bitch. So that's my take. It is very obviously a deliberate measure to retcon history, whitewash it, turn around and act like the Confederacy didn't stand for the preservation of slavery, and it's actually heritage, not hate, blah, blah, blah. It was deliberately done by the Daughters of the Confederacy. You know, take the fucking L, sit the fuck down. It's totally reasonable to take down Confederate monuments. Do I think that taking down like George Washington monuments is going too far? That's my personal take on it. Yes. So while the left and liberals have a tendency to go too far with certain monuments, and it's contextually, it could be contextually applicable. If it's like George Washington like standing on top of like a black slave or something, then yeah, take that shit down. That's terrible. But if it's just like a regular George Washington statue, and people are like, yo, fuck this. I personally am against that. I think it goes too far. And also, it's useless to redirect your anger at something like that rather than actual systemic issues. Now, that is a small, albeit vocal, but small part of the left and liberals who do this. Whereas the people who consider Black Lives Matter to be hate speech are conservative leaders themselves. So the overwhelming majority of Republicans and conservatives absolutely take it too far and are completely just out of their minds for doing stuff like this. I'm not even doing a both sides argument, because getting offended at George Washington, who owned slaves and took advantage of loopholes to maintain his slaves over the 6 months course that the local law at the time that would force George Washington to free his slaves is pretty fucked up. So as a black person getting upset at a monument to George Washington is understandable. As a white person getting upset at Black Lives Matter as a take is idiotic, insane, and just shows that you're a racist piece of shit. And this extends all the way to Donald Trump. So it's not even a both sides argument in this circumstance. It's just not. If you are overreacting to this degree to Black Lives Matter being painted on your street, you are a gigantic racist piece of shit. There's no two ways about it. Taking down monuments is dumb every time. You forget about what they done good, and also the bad Americans that are shit are running your own history. USA people are so dumb. No, taking down monuments is not dumb every time. Like, if there were Hitler monuments all around Germany, we would be having an entirely different conversation. It's so stupid. Also, let's say we took down every fucking George Washington and Abraham Lincoln statue. Okay, what happened? Do we actually get accountability? Like legislative accountability on policing? No. Did we solve white supremacy? No. Did racism end? No. Take down the statues as a victory lap after you actually get some shit done. Yeah, and to the people who think like, oh, if we take down the Confederate monuments, then we'll forget what the Confederacy did. Again, Hitler. Everybody knows what he did. Okay? No statues of Hitler, and yet everybody fucking knows what he did. So shut the fuck up.
Man,
crowds of people tear down Confederate statues. 3 people paint over BLM. Yeah, except Donald Trump is the one who's saying Black Lives Matter is destroying a beautiful piece of real estate on Fifth Avenue. So it's a little different. And secondly, it's good to take down statues of Confederacy. It's not good to get upset and offended and try to paint over Black Lives Matter. There is a difference between good things and bad things. That's precisely why I mentioned why taking down Confederate monuments is a good thing. Can't compare George Washington to Hitler, though, and that statue was funded by slaves. Wait, first of all, I'm not comparing George Washington to Hitler. That's precisely why I said I'm not against George Washington statues. Please listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth instead of applying what you think my take is or my opinion is on the matter. I don't agree with you on this. George Washington does not deserve to be remembered. The statue isn't an overreaction, maybe, but it is a message you send to later generations. I think a more productive use of our time in that circumstance is to change the public curriculum to accurately depict the history of George Washington rather than taking down his statues. Because if every school still teaches George Washington as a heroic figure without mentioning his participation in indigenous genocide or without mentioning his opinions on having slaves, then it doesn't matter if his statues are gone because he's still seen as like an only good heroic figure. Accurately, you mean implement commie Antifa propaganda into the curriculum? Yes, that's what I mean. To be fair, George Washington did more good than other presidents. I agree. I don't disagree. That's why I don't think George Washington's statues should be taken down. If their only significant contribution, if a historic figure's only significant contribution is just defending slavery or being a Nazi, then no, they don't deserve any hagiography. If a historic figure has done indigenous genocide, has participated in indigenous genocide and has owned slaves, but also revolted against the British Empire and is a foundational figure in the creation of America, then it's understandable to have statues depicting him. Like, that's just my take. I don't think that's a silly take. Some form of social cohesion in the absence of a complete abolition of states at the international level is reasonable. If you think that that is a radical take, then I don't know. It's a radical take, I guess. Imagine thinking the creation of America was good. Okay, guys. Don't make me do this, all right? Literally, don't make me do this. America has a profoundly awful history, but like, you're going to make me seriously start saying so has every other country on the planet. Like, you're being ridiculous. I'm talking about addressing the wrongs of the past and trying to correct it. You're talking about America should have never existed. Well, it does. It's like when people try to say, like, give Mount Rushmore back to the tribes that own it. Fine. I'm totally fine with that. But then you turn around and you say, give New York back to the tribes that own it. And I'm like, you're a fucking insane person. Like, you're an insane person. And you sound fucking insane. You're an insane person who either doesn't live in that area and doesn't care or cannot comprehend what the consequences of that would look like. Like, where are we gonna go, motherfucker? Where are you gonna go? You sound like Destiny right now. Yikes, give it back. Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. It is a complete childish fantasy to behave like, on the one hand, restitution should not be offered to the Native Americans is a silly take, okay? We absolutely should. But on the other hand, be like, yeah, give New York back to the natives is a insane take. Like, you sound insane. You just sound insane. Like, you're not going to convince anyone of anything if you say dumb shit like this. Why do you always bring up the argument that we in Germany/Austria don't know anything about Hitler? We study here in high school 4 semesters long. Wait, what? No, I'm being sarcastic when I say no one in Germany or Austria knows anything about Hitler, dummy. The point is everyone knows who the Hitler is, but there's no statues about him. There's no statues that depict him. Yeah, Germans really don't understand sarcasm. Holy shit. The reason why Germans understand how awful Hitler was is because they study it accurately in their schools. Germans do be acting though the World War II never happened. Yeah, people keep bringing up the cases later.
I love the system.
No, they're
I
not.
can now remove the tinfoil hat.
Germans don't be acting like World War II never happened. What the fuck are you talking about? Even showcasing German flags and German patriotism or German nationalism is regarded as a faux pas in Germany, or has been for a very long time.
You love your
And
father,
they
the devil.
they shit on AFD quite frequently because of how damaging nationalism has been in German history. They're aware of it and they're very fearful of it. You're completely insane for saying this.
Give Istanbul back to the Byzantine Empire.
Yeah.
Give
See,
Istanbul
I
back
knew
to
that
the
this was
Byzantine
coming.
Empire.
Yeah, dude, you're right. We should give. I mean, you're saying it as a joke, but here's the second Karen. This is the Scottsdale, Arizona Karen that we were talking about as well.
So, Target, I'm not playing any more of those games. This shit's f***ing over. This shit's all f***ing over. This shit's f***ing over.
Here we have a Karen in the wild, molding over pieces of cloth. Now, when you disrupt the delicate balance, the delicate ecosystem of a Karen, she will retaliate with righteous indignation.
It's over. This shit's over. Yay! This shit's over. Woo!
The Karen here is arrested after attacking a Target,
I don't want to do that shit. Get that shit
specifically the mask stand at a Target.
Fuck this shit. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. No, I'm not doing
Because
it.
she's
We don't
offended
do this
that
anymore.
masks
This is
are
over.
being offered
No.
to individuals.
Why? Why? You let everybody else do it. You let
You
everybody
have a
else do it.
common
Why can't I do it because I'm a
misunderstanding
blonde
of
white woman?
decolonization.
Notice how the Karen feels attacked and says,
don't
are you
love the
attacking me
spirit of
because I'm a
justice.
blonde white
love
woman?
your
Well, the
devil.
person who came over, the Target employee, is also a blonde white woman.
You let everybody else do it. Why can't I do it because I'm a blonde white woman? I'm wearing a fucking
love the spirit of
$40,000 Rolex. I don't
You
have
love
to fucking
your
right switch
father,
it
the
up.
devil.
What a weird flex to be like, because I have a $40,000 Rolex on my arm. Is that why? Yeah, that's why, you fucking psycho. And not because you ran in there, threw down the mask aisle. Let me just say something. What this psycho Karen is doing right there is no different than if you were a nudist, okay, and you ran up inside a Target. If you were a nudist and you ran up inside a Target and you started throwing all of the t-shirts onto the ground, and you were mad because, you know, you can't show titties inside a Target, and now you're upset that they're like, you know, oppressing you and taking away your civil liberties because they're forcing you to wear a shirt